Hello, everyone. This is the July medicine reading energy report. I'm Holly Ramey. I think most of you know me and have seen a video before. I haven't done a straight up video of the monthly card reading in a few months, and I think a few of you may be new, so thank you so much for being here. Every month on Substack I release an email energy report for the month with tarot, some talk about astrology, and then sometimes I'll add in a meditation or sound healing or something of that nature. So I just wanted to put my face on here and just do a regular old card reading for the month. So I'm gonna shuffle as I kind of go over the themes of July. We are in Cancer season for most of the month, and so Cancer is a cardinal water sign. It initiates action, it initiates a new season, right? Cancer season starts on the solstice, and so we remain in Cancer season for most of the month until the 20th, when the sun moves into Leo, which is a fire sign. And we're going to see a lot more activity happening later in the month. The start of the month is a little bit slow, astrologically speaking, but who knows what's happening in your world. There's lots of other planets zipping around besides the sun and the moon. And yeah, so we start off with a full moon in Capricorn. The full moon is always in the opposite sign of the sun. So Capricorn is opposite Cancer. It's an earth sign. Alexa is alerting me. Sorry, y'all. And I'm in the middle of a liver cleanse, so I'm feeling a bit tired, low energy. The light isn't helping, but we're trudging forward. So what I also, before I jump into like the full moon and the new moon, what I think is also interesting about Cancer is it's the sign that relates to the Chariot. The Chariot is number 7 in the tarot, and 2023 is a 7 year. And so we're really working with the Chariot energy this month, which is, you know, that energy that is apparent throughout the year. I've talked in my various Substack articles on the Chariot and the sevens in the tarot and the themes coming up around that, and how it really is helping us see through illusion. And so you might find that you have some movements or breakthroughs or just some energy around that this month in whatever area of your life that is really being affected by Cancer season. To know more of that, check your birth chart and see what house Cancer is in, or, you know, lines up with on your birth chart. And that can really give you a bit more personalized information about how Cancer season affects you personally. If you have any planets in Cancer, any big aspects happening there. Cancer is associated with the 4th house, the house of home. It's how we care. It's how we love, nurture, nourish ourselves and others. And it's also associated with like our foundations, and like we may feel really nostalgic during this time. We may feel like a longing towards our childhood. We may feel like childhood energy comes back into our lives somehow. Maybe we gather with family more during this time, or we feel more focused on home and family matters. Maybe it's a time when you tend to move or relocate or work in your garden or rearrange your house. Like, there's so many different ways that this energy can come forward. It could be a time where we just connect to our emotions and our past and do more processing. And then I think we often really pin Cancer as this like sensitive, emotional, really kind of psychic, empathic, and it is all those things. But Cancer also is cardinal, right? It initiates a new season. So there's a lot of action and activity. It's the Chariot card. The Chariot is the vehicle that moves us forward, and it's very fast and forward focused movement and action. So don't think that like we can't get anything done, or that it's just gonna be this like big emo cry fest. That's only one side of Cancer. Cancer can be really active, and it can help us to initiate action and help us to connect to our intuition and to our inner knowing, whether that's in like the deep mind or the splenic, more instinctive intuition, whatever form of intuition you have, it can really help to activate that and to move from that place. And so when I think of Cancer energy, I often think of heart-led, intuitive-led action. And they live in their little shells, and they can be spicy and snappy. If you have any Cancers in your life, you may know. Or if you're a Cancer sun, moon, or rising, you have it in your big three, or you happen to have a large concentration of planets in your Cancer in your birth chart, you may feel this energy come forward in different ways. Okay. So I'm going to start with a few cards for the month in general. And then we're going to go a little deeper into the full moon and the 2 weeks that follow, the new moon and the 2 weeks that follow. So for the cards that are for this month in general, for us, for this collective. Ooh. Oh my God, you guys, the Chariot just fell out. How cute is this? Spirit is already speaking to us. Okay, let's just lay this Chariot right down here on the altar and know that this is where we are with Cancer season and the Chariot. I love in this deck, this is the Way Home Tarot by Bakara Whitner. And Autumn Whitehurst is the illustrator. I love how she has this as a salmon swimming upstream, because it is this huge burst of energy, right, that we utilize to move forward, but we can't stay in it all the time. So it is something that we have to temper with rest and care and nourishment, right? We can't just always be that salmon swimming upstream, because we know what happens when she gets there, right? She lays her eggs and then she perishes. But how do we utilize this energy to get us from like one place to the other? I feel like it kind of like helps us over or through a threshold, or, you know, if we look at it from the lines of the tarot, the 7 comes at the end of line 1, and it's the energy of like propelling into line 2. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, when you line the major arcana cards up in the tarot, there's 3 lines, and I think of like going from line 1 to line 2 as like graduating, right? Going from being a high school senior to a freshman in college, or to a job or whatever else comes next, right? It's this ceremony, this graduation, we're crossing this threshold. And so that's what the Chariot can really help us to achieve or accomplish. So beautiful. Maybe we're gonna make some big moves in our lives, whether it's internally or externally or both. Okay, so we have the Chariot coming through for us this month, and maybe the threshold that you're crossing is a completely internal one, and that's absolutely fine, and you're ending some kind of long-held pattern or belief or something you've carried since childhood. But there will be movement this month, which feels good, because I felt a little stagnant in especially in my 10th house, where the Chariot, or where I have Cancer, which is more like career stuff. And hopefully this is a sign of some movement there. Okay, so we have the 8 of Pentacles. I pulled it in the reverse position, but it's this beautiful bee in her cosmic hive. We love to see it, very earthy. Pentacles are the earth. They are tangible, work, physical body, home, money, and drink water. And I'm going to pull one more for us. This spread is kind of like a mind, body, spirit spread we're looking at here. So, shadow, which is why we need to drink water, right? Okay. So even though there's forward movement this month, there's also a coming up against some of our own shadow, some of the suppressed parts of our consciousness, or just the places or areas in ourselves or our lives that we tend to hide, that we tend to suppress, that we don't want to look at because we carry some kind of shame or guilt or judgment or criticism around. And so like when the shadow card comes up, like it is, you know, it's not the easiest stuff to look at, but it is the stuff that will shift. And when we face the shadow, that's when true movement can really change, because we go from something staying in the dark to bringing it out into the light. And so if you do feel like you're confronting these parts of yourself, drink water is just a really beautiful reminder to take care of your body, to rest, to nourish, to fill, right? To fill your cup. That's what Cancer does. It's fulfillment and it's care. So I really, really want you to get so simplistic with this. Like, this is maybe not the month to do the most complicated shit when it comes to your like health and wellness and well-being. Just cover the basics. Sleep well, drink your water, move your body, get outside, do the things that are just simple, eat simply, you know, like don't go crazy. You don't have to be on some special diet. Like simple tools and techniques that help you to feel grounded and nourished and fulfilled. And with the Eight of Pentacles in mind, I pulled it reversed. You know, the Eight of Pentacles is really about moving from like apprentice into mastery of something. She is the queen of her cosmic beehive, and she is finally starting to see some of the fruits of the labors, right? The Seven of Pentacles is like, we're in this like patient waiting game of like one foot in front of the next to get to where we're going. And when we get into the Eight, it's like, okay, so we're starting to see some of the harvest come. But when I see Pentacles reversed, sometimes we can feel like a bit like stuck in a rut, or like we're impatient with things, or, you know, we're feeling like a bit of instability in some area. And so again, looking at the areas of your life, your physical body, your money, your work, and what you want to really do with all this knowledge, all this wisdom, all this experience that you have. And are you giving yourself credit for how far you've come? Or are you just looking forward to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing? Or are you realizing that you've done all this work and you've gotten to this place, and now you're looking around and you're like, it wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. Like maybe there's some shifts and changes that you want to make with how you define success in your material world. Really, what is satisfying you, right? With the Eight of Pentacles, you know, we've gotten to this place where we have a lot of wisdom and experience, and you might find that now it's time to kind of switch it up and do something different, or apply that knowledge and wisdom and experience in a different way than maybe you have before. Or maybe shadow is showing you where you may have been holding yourself back or not giving yourself enough credit. So this month feels like forward movement, but having to look into some of that illusion, right? Having to look past some of that shadow work and do some of that shadow work in order to get to that level of mastery where we really, really do feel fulfilled. Okay? And just remembering that this is temporary. Shadow work, we don't do it forever, but this is a moment in time where we could really move forward on some of these things. Okay, July 3rd is the full moon in Capricorn. So the themes are kind of opposite of Cancer, right? Capricorn is earth energy, it's grounded, it's capitalism, it is honors, awards, achievements, it is our accomplishments and like how we create material stability and security and like success and what that means to us and our public facing life. So those are some of the themes of Capricorn. Again, Capricorn exists in a certain house in your chart. There's planets there, so you can look more deeply into that. So for the Capricorn full moon on July 3rd, let's get a little deeper into the themes around this. Full moons are more of a release, an illumination. Sometimes they show us things we didn't see before, and sometimes they're even like a big celebration. Okay, so we're getting the Three of Wands reversed. I'll pick up the card and show you in a minute. Three of Wands is a fire energy. It's very much asking us to maybe get out of our comfort zone. Pulling it with the Cloud, which is very collective energy, kind of a nod to the intuition, the Akashic records, the collective consciousness. And then we're seeing past life. We're going deep this month, you guys. Okay. The Three of Wands, I just want to show you because there's not a lot of cards in this deck that use this imagery, but we are pulling both the cards that have this kind of cosmic energy in them. And so there is something about like busting out of this container that we've been in. We have to bust out of it. The Three of Wands is all about expansion and visioning and planning and looking forward. But when I see it in the reversal, just like with the Eight of Pentacles, like there's this feeling of it kind of being like, just like too contained. Like we're trying to like stay small and we really need to expand out of our comfort zone. So with the Three of Wands, I feel like this is an opportunity to look at where we might do a bit of like self-sabotage or hiding or invisibility mode or any way that we kind of hold ourselves back and limit ourselves. The Cloud is very much, again, I'm gonna say like tapping into your own innate wisdom. The veil is thin. What downloads are you getting? What are you really feeling into? Like try less mind, more intuitive feeling. And then past life, which is really, I believe, helping us to let go of something deep and old and karmic. So whether or not this is, you know, it can still feel like a childhood pattern, right? Something that's been with us for our whole life, maybe even beyond this lifetime, if that's what you believe. But whatever it is, like this full moon really feels like a release of something ancient, something we've been carrying for a long, long time that we can now kind of face and let go. And that even, you know, feels like part of the shadow work is just because this is our karma, right? This is something that we brought in and we've been kind of we've contracted to work on in this lifetime. So it feels like we're moving through deep stuff and we are ready to face it because we've done the work. We've done the work this year to get to this point. And you can't look at your shadow, right? Always when you're in some like hyper unconscious or adrenalized or traumatized or, stressed out state. Like, it takes a lot of presence and stability and awareness to be able to confront the shadow and courage. And so I just want to remind you that you have this now, or you wouldn't be seeing this. We wouldn't be faced with it and asked to move through it and work with it had we not done the preliminary work to get here. So trust in your own resilience and trust in your own ability to now face and move forward with some of these lessons. You were born to do this, okay? Now, anything for the full moon, rituals, fire, water, expansion, and then, past life stuff. So whether you want to kind of look into the Egyptian pyramids, Isis is really great for working through past life stuff as a goddess, as an energy, as a deity. Past life regressions are things. I haven't done one, but I hear that they are very effective. Or maybe even just like a tarot reading on a past life, anything that feels resonant for you. You don't need to do that. It's not a requirement to kind of work through it. It's going to happen either way, but if you want to really dig in. This full moon really feels like a time, though, to connect inward to your intuition. I feel like that's what the cloud is telling us, is like, pay attention to what's happening in the collective conscious, pay attention to any intuitive downloads, pay attention to the feelings that are coming through for you, not just the mind, but also the body, the spirit. Okay. Now, moving on to the new moon in Cancer, which is happening on the 17th. And then, it gets a little spicy at the end of the month. We have a lot of shifts. So we have the nodes shifting into Aries and Libra, which is where the eclipses will be over the last year and a half. So the energy of transformation in our lives shifts. That's going to be a lot of relational stuff. And then we have the full moon the new moon on the 17th in Cancer. And then on the 20th, we have a Mars-Saturn opposition, which is a little dicey. The oppositions with Saturn really bring up like boundaries and structure, daddy issues. They really want us to be our own daddy. Look at our relationship with authority. And then Venus is going to go retrograde in Leo a few days after that, which is more relational stuff. So I feel like the end of the month may pull focus on relationship issues, on our relationship with ourselves, others, friends, family. It could be any relationship. It does not have to be romantic or intimate. But and especially with that Mars opposition to Saturn, like, where are our boundaries? But let's see what the cards have to say for the new moon on the 17th and kind of just those 2 weeks that follow with all those happenings. Okay. So we have the Fool. The Fool is reversed, and I'm pulling it with absolutely not. And, this is like a go and this is like a stop. And so I kind of want to know, again, it feels really similar to the Three of Wands. Like, the Fool is like ready for this brand new journey. He's ready to start off on a whole new path. And that's kind of what I was saying with the Chariot, is like, it's this threshold, right? Like, we're crossing this threshold, this graduation, this kind of like level up. But we still feel some hesitation, right? When I see the Fool reverse, we're like, should I take the leap, or is the risk too big? We're not really sure if we want to, which is fine, but like, why? Like, absolutely not is like, well, where are you holding yourself back? Where are you saying no? Why are you saying no? And maybe it's just that we feel like with the Fool, we're ready, we're starting to prepare to take this leap, but Saturn is coming and saying, not yet. It doesn't mean never. And because it's the Fool, right? It's going to happen. The new journey is going to begin. But there still might be some like roadblocks, obstacles, or things that we need to work through with this new moon, or at least whether they're internal or external, we may have to locate and find where in the shadow, where in our psyche, where in our habits are we kind of, I don't know, holding ourselves back. And then in spirit, I'm getting fire, which is absolutely assigned to kind of work with the energy of fire, of ego, of will, our passion. Maybe you burn some stuff. Maybe you even release some stuff on this new moon. I usually say new moons are more about new beginnings and planting seeds, but fire ceremonies are always, you know, something needs to end for something to begin. So feel into it, follow your passion. This feels like the new moon to really get in touch with what lights you up, to really get in touch with your internal will and confidence and what makes you excited, what makes you feel confident and I don't know how else to say it, like just like really lights you up. Like that's the direction that we want to go in, but what we need to figure out is like why we hold ourselves back from that. Again, it doesn't feel like it's not gonna happen. It just feels like we have to examine why we're afraid to take the risk, why we feel like there's a roadblock, and is it a true roadblock? Or is it something internal that we can kind of work with and figure out? Okay, I'm pulling a card just kind of for that, for the absolutely not. And I'm getting the Lovers reversed. So there's the theme, right? There's the relational stuff. And so maybe it is about our sense of independence, of interdependence, the give and receive in a certain relationship. Like where do we feel like we're unwilling to give or like we're not receiving? Where do we feel like the balance is off here in our relationships? And I'm pulling it with welcome to the liminal space. And so it very much feels like the void, the waiting room of the universe. We are working through something relationally and in order to start this new journey. And so again, with the nodes moving into Aries and Libra, Aries is a sign of independence. Libra is a sign of balance, harmony, interdependence. And how do we kind of find the balance between these two things, right? Where do we want to be super independent and take the leap and push forward? And how do we also understand that nothing is really, no one's ever self-made, right? Like we all rely on others for things. And how do we find that balance between support and collaboration and still being able to find our own confidence, will, and sense of independence? Because we can ideally have both, right? We can ideally be very independent and self-sufficient while also making sure that we are in right relationship with others and ourselves. Okay, you guys, so it feels like there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on this month. And it feels like a lot of it is going to be internal for the first few weeks of the month, kind of going inward and looking at our own shadow, our own kind of past stuff, our own limitations, whatever it is, we're ready to see it. And then later in the month, it looks like, okay, now we're going to pull in the relational stuff. Now we're going to start to look at ourselves through the lens of right relationship, our relationships being sacred mirrors to kind of help reflect to us what we want to see. and what we don't want to see, right? So just know that Mars opposition, that Mars-Saturn opposition happening at the end of the month could feel like an absolutely not, right? It could feel like a stop sign, like an obstacle, but it's temporary. It's not forever. It's going to put us in the liminal space for a little bit. So what do you do when you are in a space of uncertainty where you're not sure what the next right step is, or maybe you can only take the next right step and you can't see fully the end goal. You can't fully see the big vision, the big picture. That's okay. It's okay to be in those spaces. They're like it's like the chrysalis, right? Like we don't always know what's going to happen on the other side of it. And so how do you still drink water and nourish yourself in those moments of uncertainty? And what activities like just really replenish you on and nurture you when you're in those spaces? And what are you going to do to not seek certainty? Because that doesn't feel like the answer. The answer feels like to kind of go inward and take care of yourself in the here and now and let this play out. So rather than trying to predict and future trip, taking care of yourself in the moment and really getting comfortable in that uncertain place, even though it's not maybe the most comfortable place to be, what habits, structures, routines, people, whatever it is, what things and places in your life give you a sense of comfort and ease, even in uncertainty, even in that waiting game. Okay, you guys, I hope that this is helpful. I hope that you have a lovely month. Reach out to me, let me know how you're feeling, how you're doing. And yeah, if you like these videos, how do you prefer it? Do you like these written? Do you like them more in video form? I'm always open to your suggestions. Thanks so much for being here with me. Have a lovely month.